Okay, so let's continue to, again, we're converting a general form to its standard form. Oops. X plus ax minus h squared plus k. All right, and we're doing this right now by completing the square, right? Doing that modification. But before we do that, let's do the easy stuff, right? To get this graph, I know the y-intercept is just f of 0. If I plug 0 into here and 0 into there, right, we get 0 squared plus 0 minus 6. So we basically get negative 6. So we now know that this graph, whatever it does, crosses through 0, negative 6. Okay? And then the other thing that we have going for us, right, is that x is equal to 1. So we know that the parabola, right, is opening up and it's not being stretched or compressed. So a is equal to 1. All right? So where then is the vertex? So we find that by basically completing the square. So following our procedure, right, the incomplete square is composed of these 2 points here. So, or those 2 terms. And the leading coefficient is already 1. So that's the good news. So, but let me put some parentheses around it so to isolate it. To complete the square, I need to take this number and divide it by 2. So that gives us 1/2. And then I take 1/2 and I square it, giving us 1/4. So that's what I have to add to complete the square. So we get x squared plus x plus 1/4. Of course, to balance that off, as soon as I add that 1/4, I subtract that 1/4. 1/4 minus 1/4 is 0. So this expression that I have is equivalent to that one. It's just we need that for the pieces that are coming up soon. And so at this stage of the game, right, these are the guys we want to keep. So I'm going to keep those in the parentheses at the moment. But this has to bounce out. Luckily, we're multiplying everything through by 1. So 1 times negative 1/4 is still negative 1/4. Okay? So inside of here, this becomes x and then plus 1/4. Whatever we halved it in basically becomes part of the factorization. So we have x plus 1/2 squared, and then outside here we basically have some work to do with our thing. So this becomes negative 1/4 minus 24 over 4. This is minus 25 over 1/4. So pretty complicated, but it looks like our vertex, right? We're shifting to the left, so h is negative 1/2, and we're shifting down, so k is negative 25 over 4. So our vertex is negative 1/2 and negative 25 over 4, which I think, right, if you wanted to start graphing that, that's like negative 6 1/4. So if we go to negative 1/2 and then negative 6 1/4, right, we're about right in there, right, is where that graph is basically occurring at. Okay, and then because of the axis of symmetry, its mirror image would be over here, and so our graph looks like so. So there's a really quick sketch of the graph by putting it in the good old standard form, and we're pushing fractions around, which is starting to motivate, can you show me a formula? And I will, all right, even though the formula is still going to have its tough nuances as well. So one last time, right, so again we have this negative 3 in the way. So when I introduce parentheses, I'm going to factor that out, but I'm going to factor it out from just the first 2 terms, because those are the first 2 terms that I'm interested in. Again, if you check, if you redistribute it, negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times minus x gives us positive 3x. So we're on good ground. There's the piece that's the incomplete square. So I need to take the negative 1 and divide it by 2. Well, that just gives us negative 1/2. Again, keep that in mind. We're going to square it, which gives us 1/4 again. So to complete this square, this is f of x over here, we're going to have negative 3 x squared minus x plus 1/4. And to balance that addition of 1/4, we're going to subtract 1/4. Okay, so that balances off. We're the modified completing the square. We're no longer doing things to both sides because we don't have a nice neat number over here, right? We're doing everything to the same side. We're going to bounce this out of here. So we get negative 3 x squared minus x plus 1/4. But as soon as we multiply that out, right, these two would be multiplied. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 1/4, it would be 3/4. So that's what comes out of those parentheses, all right, when we're all said and done. And this now factors, right, this is negative 3x minus a half squared. Again, it's always that number that you got when you divided it by 2. And then out here we basically have some fractions. So we got 3/4 plus 20/4. That looks like 23/4. So a is equal to negative 3. So we're definitely on our way down, right? H, we're shifting to the right a half. So h is a half. And then we're shifting up 23 1/4. So we have 23/4. So our vertex is at 1/2 and 23/4. I think that's 5 3/4. All right, and so we have a half, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/4. So that puts me about right there. Ooh, I know what I forgot. We forgot to find the Y-intercept. So when I find the Y-intercept, again, that's easy to do, whether you plug it in here or here, right? It's the same function, just written differently. So f of 0 would be negative 3 times 0 squared plus 3 times 0 plus 5. We get 5. So we are intersecting the x-axis at 0, 5. So because of the axis of symmetry, I know the other data points there. So this parabola is doing something of that nature. If you want more points, plot more points. But those are 3 good ones just to give us a good feel. So that is how we graph when you have the general form, converting it to the standard form by completing the square. So we've seen that, what, 5 times? So hopefully you're kind of getting the rhythm of it. Practice it. It is a very important skill to have as you guys move through your math ladder. But what I'd like to do is go revisit all of these, and let me revisit with you guys with the vertex formula. And we got some more math to do there to set that up. So I'll be right back.